I thought I was going to Virginia City one day, but it ended up just being a brothel.
Yeah,
it was Vagina City.
Yeah, Vagina.
Yeah, I just misread the sign.
Oh, yeah, that will happen.
Easy misunderstanding.
Oh, that's what I was
A lot of guys
talking
get
about.
lost in Vagina City. Let me tell you, a lot of guys do not know their way around.
That's a good cue. I like that. It's like Jacob's been doing this a while. He just knows.
He knows when to drop in.
This episode is made possible by our Thera partners, Dirty B, Myra, and Pickett.
Welcome, Pickett.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. Broadcasting from the churn, that's Jim, that's Whitney, I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Welcome, Pod Therapians, to another riveting episode. We are crawling up there, guys. This is 297. 3 episodes before Lucky 300.
That's in 3 weeks.
Yeah. So
I
we
did
would
the math
love
right.
suggestions.
Wait, is that so it's 3 episodes away, so that's 11 weeks?
11 weeks. 11,
Okay.
I believe.
All right.
11-7. But if you have suggestions for how you'd like to hear us celebrate the 300th episode, feel free to send those in. Maybe we do some extra trivia. Maybe we do something interesting.
Yeah, send in your ideas. We won't use any of them.
Very likely to not use any of them. But
I'm going to be gone.
fuck it, send them in.
You're going to be gone?
Yeah.
Wow,
All
it's
right.
the 300th episode.
Ookie cookie it is. Now that Whitney won't be around to gunk up the works.
Yeah. Then we get those fucking standards out of here. We can finally go back to no pants. The way this show was
No
designed.
Pants Monday.
No pants Monday night. Well, welcome back to Pod Therapy. If you'd like to hear the additional portion of the show, a solid 40 minutes of love time, it is patreon.com/therapy. You can hear about all the foods that we will not part with in order to keep our lives going, and hear about Nick's family vacation where they were abducted by a man who's been abducted by aliens and taken to Area 51.
It was a secondhand abduction.
But not before other places.
Yeah.
That's how we learned how
A
to abduct.
riveting tale. This is also going to be our new side business. I think it's clearly we start with Philly's fries.
I mean,
Fred's Philly
$200 to
fries.
drive a group of people. That's per person.
And then we do this too.
Yeah.
We could
And
just
you
use
get to
the
go
Philly
have
truck.
burgers and Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
I could-
amazing.
yeah.
Like,
We use
I
the
mean,
food truck for doing this.
honestly,
We just buy a bus.
Yeah.
We're done.
Step one,
I
buy
don't
a
even
bus.
need a bus. I could do this in my car. I could do this right
Be a
now.
weekend gig.
I could do that on Saturdays, and
We
Sundays
just
would
need
be
a
the mob
Hyundai
tour.
Sonata.
Yeah.
I can just do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
I think this is a solid new business plan. I like it.
And we'll stop at Windy City Hot Dogs.
Oh,
so we
come
can just
on. We'll be
incorporate that. It'll
friends. We can
No.
all be buddies. Hooray.
I can't make it.
It's weird because we didn't tell you when it is, but
I can't make it.
all right.
I'm busy.
I celebrate privately. If you'd like to hear all that extra fun stuff, it's patreon.com/therapy or our alternate website, votejim.net.
No.
Go
No,
to votejim.net
no,
every day,
boo.
every device.
I do go to votejim.net every single
Jim.
day.
And click the fucking buttons.
No, I'm not going to do
That's
that.
the other part. You got to click the buttons. You got to click the Jim and submit.
Nope.
Anyway, we've got some great questions in today's show. First one up, dealing with overthinking. Hi, Pod Therapy. I hope y'all are doing well, and I'm sorry if this is long. I love your podcast, and this is my first time posting a question. When I'm out with friends, I appear very extroverted and bubbly, but sometimes inside, I feel like I'm always not really there, and I'm either spaced out or overthinking. My mind races a lot, and I find myself panicking a little if I overanalyze a friend's text, or their tone doesn't align with the tone I had in my mind, or if I think they sound mad at me, when almost always they're not. Or if they say, "Hey, can we talk?" or "Hey, can I ask you something?" I immediately rack my brain trying to think what I did or said wrong, if they're mad at me, if they think I'm annoying, or if they secretly hate me. Come to think of it, I kind of sound a little paranoid, but I wouldn't be able to think or really focus on anything else while I was ruminating over all those worst possible outcomes. Most of the time, it settles after a few hours, and sometimes out of the blue, for minutes at a time, I would feel my heart drop and pound. My chest would tighten and my breathing would shallow. My fingers and toes would feel tingly. I wouldn't be able to concentrate on anything. If I was mid-convo with a friend, I would zone out and feel restless and the need to get out and escape to somewhere I can be alone. Or another example, I'd be having a normal/good day and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'd zone out and feel this crushing sadness or emptiness inside. I could be having the best time out with friends and suddenly I'd feel all alone and sad and spaced out. That also happens when I think about university and all the stuff I have to memorize and study. But I guess that's a reason to feel shitty. I just don't know why I'd feel like that at random times. I'm seeing a psychiatrist for my ADHD meds, and I know anxiety can be a side effect, but I noticed I would still feel like this on days I'm not on the meds. I haven't brought this up to her because when I'm feeling fine, I end up telling myself that it wasn't even that bad anyway, and I'm just being dramatic. And that they couldn't possibly be panic attacks because from what I've seen, they're usually more severe and debilitating. But at this point, I'm tired of it ruining my day, to have my mood fluctuate like that, and I want to try and fix it. So, any advice on how to deal with overthinking, feeling anxious, and all the above that I wrote about would be much appreciated. Thank you, Anonymous.
Okay.
Do you remember a while ago when we got a question about like sudden onset sadness? Do you remember that? It kind of reminds me.
I remember that phrasing of it.
Yeah, something like that. The writer called it
such an interesting way of it was an interesting way of phrasing it. I remember that phrasing of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think okay. So first off, I'll start with this. I don't think that this is really anything that you need to be overly concerned about regarding like panic attacks or anything like that. I mean, the way they kind of described it, at least in the first paragraph, just makes me think that, yeah, that your mind kind of runs in overdrive and you're just constantly analyzing and thinking about things. I don't know if this would be helpful, but maybe, I mean, the first thing I thought of was just kind of utilizing some mindfulness meditation and kind of getting into that practice, learning how to use that. And I don't know if maybe that might be helpful. But just to kind of help quiet your mind a little bit and just to remove some of the meaning that you give things as far as, you know, this is a bad thing that's happening or, you know, when you start talking about your emotions, you start recognizing sudden sadness, crushing emotions, emptiness, all that stuff to remove the meaning behind it and just kind of like, okay, this is how I feel and just accepting. You know, and just this is where it is right now, and not giving any kind of meaning, but just kind of being able to feel it and kind of move on from that. I don't know. That was my first thought. Is mindfulness meditation might be something to take a look at. I don't know if that's helpful with ADHD or not. I need to look into
really
that.
Challenging depending on the like if they're more hyperactive or if it's. I don't know. That can be challenging for a lot of clients I work with. Not all of them, but I still think it's good to recommend because at the end of the day, mindfulness and meditation are a practice. It's just like working out a muscle or anything like that. And I usually tell people just start really, really small. Like try for 1 minute in the morning when you're in your car on your way to uni. Like I tell people just sit in their car and like put your hand on your stomach and just focus on your stomach expanding and contracting.
And I did like a 2-day workshop on mindfulness meditation. And one of the things, because we had to practice it a lot. Yeah. And one of the things that the instructor said is that people will, like, you're supposed to kind of quiet your mind. You're supposed to just try to kind of empty out those thoughts and just think about nothing. But you're inevitably going to think about something. Yeah. And the trick isn't then to just try, I'm not supposed to do that. No, you're just like, okay. And then you start over and you just kind of...
Let me try again.
Yeah. And then you just keep doing that. And then it becomes easier the more that you practice it, like anything you practice, really.
Yeah. I feel like giving them something to focus on is a great way to start. And eventually, then if you can, clear your mind or whatever. I've never reached that point in meditation. But focusing on something does help me practice the art of like grounding or things like that when you are feeling really anxious or ruminating or your emotions start feeling like they're too big to control in the moment. Just the one little thing that I was going to suggest that came to mind for myself was like challenging the thought. So the question I will tell clients to ask is this true? So when the writer said, I'll get texts like, hey, can we talk? Or they said something that I'm wondering like, oh my gosh, what did they really mean behind this? Just questioning yourself, like, or questioning that thought or challenging it. Is that true? What makes me think that right now? Is there anything solid like, hey, I need to talk to you about this thing you said that bothered me later. Okay, maybe then it can be like, all right, maybe I should be a little nervous or it's a little warranted to feel anxiety around that. But if they're like, hey, can I talk to you later? It might be like, I need a ride to the airport. It doesn't mean it's...
Can I ask you something? I could really use a ride at the airport. Could you show me the airport?
Shit, it's exactly what I thought he was going to say.
I know. I didn't really want to do it. Now I feel like I have to.
God damn it. No, but
I'm busy.
That actually kind of reminds me of something else. That old saying, never attribute to malice what can be attributed to stupidity. Or something like that.
Okay.
Right.
Which is like, never assume that there's some kind of malicious intent behind someone's behavior when it's more likely that they're just not paying attention,
Right.
or that it's just,
Or it's some benign thing.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that
Or
that
they're an
kind
idiot.
Exactly.
That's usually the case with me.
Always possible.
And
You're the idiot?
Yeah,
and that is
absolutely.
That's always my advice to other people too when they're asking me something like, "Oh, just this text. Read this text." They're like, "Doesn't this sound?"
Gosh, so common to feel that way.
And I'm like, but that saying always goes back, and not necessarily never attribute to malice what can be attributed to stupidity, but never attribute to intent what could be attributed to just quick. And because I think a lot of times we live a fast-paced lifestyle.
Right.
If I got to ask somebody a question, I've got to text somebody, I'm probably not going to sit there and reread it several times.
Right.
I'm going to text it, I'm going to send it, and that's it. And I walk away.
Right.
So out of the text that I receive, if something kind of comes off as just kind of weird or something like that, then I always kind of go back to, or is it just likely that this person was in a hurry or something like that, and they didn't think this through? That to me makes most sense most of the time.
I like that.
Yeah.
All of these perspectives that I think you're both sharing are really part of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
And so one of the things to point out here, Ryder, is in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the big cornerstones is people kind of identifying wrong, inaccurate perceptions that they tend to have and how that influences them. We call those perceptions cognitive distortions. And so that's what's happening is we're looking at these situations through this weird, blurry kind of lens that's causing us to falsely interpret things. One of the list of cognitive distortions is a famous one called mind reading. And that's actually, obviously, one of the ones you're doing here where
I knew you were going to say that.
He can tell. That's why you're holding that envelope to your head.
Yeah.
You're wearing that turban.
Life coached.
I was thinking that life coach Jacob's at it again.
He's already there.
Yep.
But
Way ahead of you.
You're mind reading. So mind reading happens whenever we assume the intentions of others. We assume that people don't like us. Whenever it could be any benign thing that they say, or they say, "Hey, can I talk to you?" Or after you hang out with friends on your drive home, you're like, "Oh my gosh, they're all still there. They're probably talking about how they don't want me to come to things," or whatever it is. And again, this is one of the known list of cognitive distortions because it is so common among people. We all do it. I do it all the time.
An example of that would be if I were to say text 3 friends and say like, "Hey, you guys want to come meet me for lunch in like 2 hours?" And all 3 of my friends just quickly were like, "Nope, can't do it.
Weird.
And then I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
man, they must really hate me, and they don't want to come eat lunch with me. That must be it. It couldn't just be that it's an hour and 42 minutes away.
Yeah,
and I'm asking them right now if they want to have lunch. Yeah, and they just can't do it right now.
Is a reasonable amount of time to invite people to lunch. Any earlier and it's breakfast time, it's weird. I'm just saying. I was in the etiquette window. I think that's the appropriate window to invite people to lunch.
I was stating an example about myself. Are you talking about something from your past, Joe?
No, I guess I don't even relate to your metaphor.
Oh, okay.
Which is clearly an allegory of some kind.
Jacob.
Yeah, he wasn't invited.
So mind reading happens. And whenever we do that, you want to defeat that exactly as Nick and Whitney talked about, which is questioning what you're seeing here. One thing, as Whitney talked about, is asking, is there any evidence to support this, right? Yeah. Take the thought to court. Noting that hearsay and speculative texts, that wouldn't pass muster with a judge, right? They'd look at this and go, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You think your friend doesn't like you? You think they're going to say something to you? They're going to confront you and tell you they don't like you anymore? Where's your evidence for this? Where's this already happened in the past? There's never been this before, right? So that's one. Another trick we've talked about on the show before is using the zebra and horse analogy. Because whenever we hear the click-clock of hoofs, you ask yourself, okay, what animal could be making that? And if you can't see the animal making that noise, you should guess. And if your guess is zebra, that is a rare, exotic, and unusual possibility. It technically could be a zebra. Those are real, unlike centaurs. But horse would have been the more boring common answer. And that's the question we have to ask in these anxious situations. Am I imagining a rare, exotic, unusual, scary possibility to explain what I'm facing? And am I overlooking a completely boring, ordinary thing? If you get a text from your friend that says, hey, can we talk? The boring, ordinary thing is they want to mention something going on in their life.
Yeah, and it's too much to text or
something. That's it, too much to text. Or just like, hey, I want to talk to you one-on-one, but
time for call
I want to
later?
give you a heads up that I want to talk to you one-on-one. That's it. The zebra outrageous thing would be they want to take the time to pull you aside and go, listen, Whitney, I just don't like you. And I just thought it was time that we sat down and talked about it.
Man,
tell me how you really
That'd be so mean.
Yeah. Also, I'm not paying for this coffee. I feel like I had to bring you here to break up with you.
I feel like that's just you more mean to the barista.
That's why you invited to lunch.
Why did you order thirds? Because fuck you. That's why. I want to make sure you remember this lunch. Also, I'm eating your leftovers.
Fine, but in a souvenir cup.
And you got the extra queso.
I wanted to remember. I wanted to have a token
commemorate this. Oh yeah. So this is something that's very relatable. I do want to just point out two thoughts though. You talk about spacing out during some encounters in some situations. And so I can understand for a lot of people that can be confusing, as they can say, well, what the hell is that? That maybe isn't anxiety, and it's not necessarily a depressive moment.
Anxiety is the word I've been waiting for you guys to say this whole time.
Right. Yeah.
Everything that we're getting into something else now.
Yeah.
But everything that we've been talking about feels like that's what I would call anxiety.
It's provoking an anxious response.
Okay.
Yes. So, and that's what cognitive distortions do.
I see.
You're seeing the world in a wrong way. Like one of the things I classically do is catastrophize, right?
Sure.
So I'll hear about something scary and I'll be like, oh, this is it. We're all going to die or something terrible is going to happen in my life.
Yeah.
And then my biological
response,
buy
like the quick
time to buy sandbags.
Time to buy sandbags.
The quick deploying dam.
Yep. Quick Dam, sponsor the fucking show. We're just giving it away. Give people a code.
I'll tell you right now, I did not remember the name of that product, and I just said quick deploying dam. That is a well-named product.
It really is.
Yep.
It really is. They figured it out.
They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing, man. What's that thing again? You mean the Quick Dam? It's called Quick Dam. Quick Dam.
Good job.
Always ready. But yeah, that's exactly it. It's provoking an anxious response.
Okay.
And so that's the way we want to deal with that organically. But the two notes that I want to throw on top of this, spacing out is something that a lot of people will experience. And what we usually describe that as is dissociation. Mm-hmm. Now, there's different kinds of it.
I relate very much with that part of this.
Do you sometimes just kind of detach?
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
If I'm not actively engaged in something socially,
right.
This happens to me all the time. I completely detach from whatever it is I'm doing and just start analyzing everything that I'm doing or everything that's happening around me.
Yeah.
That it just clicks into my brain and just goes.
Yep.
And sometimes I do. I kind of have to actively jumpstart my way out of that.
Right. You have to what's going on right now?
I will kind of get caught in that loop.
Yes.
And go like, I should participate in this conversation that's happening. This person's talking to me or whatever it is.
That's exactly it.
And I kind of have to jumpstart and be like, oh, wait, no,
what's
I'm
going
back.
On? Yeah, what are the last 5 words that were said?
Yeah.
Or sometimes people will describe like feeling like they're almost watching them with their friends, like an over-the-shoulder kind of experience. We're just observing all this. But they're detached
more extreme
from it.
Usually.
That would be a higher level. But again, it's a passive process.
Yeah.
Dissociation is very common. That's not to be confused with the disorder. There's a higher level, which is different than what you're experiencing. But yeah, that's a really common thing too. Now, the other note that I wanted to just throw in there is you said you haven't shared this with your psychiatrist. Mm-hmm. And you're taking these stimulants for your ADHD. And we're experiencing sudden onset anxious episodes, which have a clear cognitive marker. And what I'm saying there is you do clearly have a cognitive distortion that's triggering them, but you also mentioned having kind of these rapid cycles of like sudden sadness and sometimes just a burst of damn near panic. But you're thinking, gosh, panic disorder is supposed to be much heavier than this. Not necessarily. We don't always judge that by severity. We judge that by disruption. And so for you, it's disruptive. And so this is something I would want you to bring back to your prescriber.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are afraid if they tell their prescriber this, they're going to have, their medicines taken away. And I gather from your use of the word uni that maybe you're in the UK. And I know UK patients especially are very protective of ADHD meds because they're extremely difficult to get. We've had listeners on the show who've been in line for 2 fucking years just to get their prescription. So I know there can be a lot of pressure, but I would really encourage you to discuss it because you pointed out, you said, hey, it happens even when I'm not actively on the stim. And I appreciate that. It's really good data. Boy, do I want your psychiatrist to have that data.
They may have another medication that could help, even if it wasn't your current med that's causing it. There may be a better option
or just
to help with both
dosage adjustment.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
it can be.
Do you feel like some of the spacing out and then overthinking could be just attached to the ADHD? I mean, sometimes that like social anxiety, because again, ADHD can be different or present differently for different people, but a lot of times it's like their mind is racing, so it's like they're thinking about 9 other things and they've not heard anything going on, and then
spacing out for sure.
And then they're anxious. Oh, I missed this stuff. Do people know that I missed this? Like, what's going on?
Well, and if you think back to DSM-4, we used to define this by inattentive type and hyperactive type, right? And so this could be what we would have classically called ADHD inattentive type.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that could be what spacing out is for the writer.
Could you take like another 6 hours and explain that to me in more detail?
Boy, could I. You betcha. You betcha. By the way, special plug for the Patreon. Today, I re-updated our entire directory. So if you're listening and you're not a patron, go to patreon.com/therapy, throw $1 in the hat, and you will have access to all of our old Patreon content. Actually, I think $5 gets you access to everything, but there's a significant library at $1 too. But anyway,
a few bucks in a hat.
Yeah, some amount of dollars in a hat. But the very first post,
$5 and a hat.
And a hat. Yeah, we like the hat.
Send hats.
We need hats. Yeah. But yeah, the pinned post at the top of the Patreon is a directory of every episode in the Patreon we've ever made. So not the main show, but the bonus content that we've ever created, all organized according to category with links that you can just touch and go straight to the episode. And it's all updated as of today.
Ooh-wee.
And there's 2 videos up there now made by listeners who explain how to put the feed into your podcast app in case you're incompetent like Nick.
Sweet. I'm going to look that up.
It's literally a 10-second video of just, here it is.
Nick, do you know how to get to that
screen
website?
grab. That's what you do.
What website?
The website that has that stuff on there? Do you know how to get to that?
Yeah, exactly. Patreon.com/therapy.
You're going to want to get a computer.
Yeah. Step 1. Get underpants. Anyway, so we've got some great questions ahead of us, but thank you, Anonymous, for this one. It was a great one. It's really relatable. I hope that we were able to give you some perspective on it, some feedback on it. But yeah, it definitely sounds like this could have a couple of different layers. If you have not done any work in CBT, I would strongly encourage you to maybe grab a workbook on that, do some reading on that. I think that you'd really benefit from it. And I really hope that you'll take this back to your prescriber as well, because this is the kind of thing you just want to check in on and make sure they have the data. Because this could be important for them to know. Again, you're not in any danger or anything like that, but worth telling them about. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how to save on your water bill. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Turn the water off.
We've had some big water episodes.
Ooh, Life Coach Jacob.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ben Dunn, Malia, Richard Macy, Sonny Boy, University Jeff, Samantha Cohn, Thunder Cougar, Pumpkin Scoop, Slip the Kaye Motherfucker, and Sandra McWaffle. And if you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. All right. From Cody Charrington.
Oh, the DeLorean guy.
Hello, life coach Jacob and the other idiots.
Ah, dang it.
Sounded like you were low on trivia.
Right in there.
So here are some more.
It's true.
Today's game is car companies and their founders.
Fucked.
The Mustang.
Holly Chevrolet.
I know. It's like Holly Mustang.
I'm going to give you the name of the car company and 4 names. So it's multiple choice. Your job is to pick which one founded
Can you play
each
along?
company. I can.
Okay.
All right. Who founded? So there's one question per commercial.
Okay.
Who founded the DeLorean Motor Company?
Oh, Christ.
Is it A, Paul DeLorean?
Shut up.
I'm guessing is a misspell. It should be Polly.
Yeah.
B, John DeLorean. C, Henry DeLorean.
Shit.
D, Michael DeLorean.
Oh, my God.
There is a bonus question.
There really is a
I
DeLorean.
feel like I know.
I was
What?
literally talking about this today.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I know. So you know the answer.
I know exactly what the answer is. Yeah.
Okay.
And you
You
go
can't
last.
Who goes
I
last?
have a guess that's totally out of thin air. John.
John,
I'm going.
Paul, Michael, and what?
Paul, John, Henry, and Michael.
I felt like it was going to be Beatles there for
I was
fucking
just
second.
thinking, I was like,
Ringo
oh.
DeLorean.
Ringo DeLorean.
Final
Wait
answer.
a minute. I'm on to you, asshole. John, Paul, Michael, and
Henry.
Henry. I feel like Henry's got to be
Henry's
a red
a
herring because
classic.
they're trying to get you to Henry
Yeah.
Ford on that one. Paul is a fuck you to me. So it's either going to be John or
It's
Michael.
also a very common name.
No, it's a fuck you to me.
No one's ever named their child Paul.
I'm over
My
it.
dad's name is
ridiculous.
Paul.
Any of these answers are not going to be fucking Paul. I'll tell you that right now. What did you pick, Whitney?
I picked John. Seems
Yeah,
like a
I'll go with
common
Michael
name.
then.
I was going to go with Michael.
All right. You go with Michael?
I am going Michael.
I'll go John.
God damn it!
Ah, son of a biscuit. Let's see. It is John DeLorean.
Shit!
I knew if I went with life coach
JD.
Jacob, I would not be the
Of course.
idiot.
That's right.
What year was the DeLorean Motor Company founded?
Oh.
This is like a bonus one?
Yes.
Oh, bonus. Okay,
What year? Well, that's a trick question. Time travel.
Ooh.
I don't know. Was it 1985? I don't know.
Was
Or
the
was
company
it-
founded?
1885. You know, because they go all the way back. So
Okay,
first
I'm gonna
DeLorean-
guess.
Oh, man.
He didn't hit a home
Wild
run in the
West.
first time. So
Are we Price is Right rules or just closest?
Oh, closest without going over.
Yeah,
oh, I
that
like
feels
that.
right.
Let's do that.
All right.
Let's do that.
God. I mean, it has to be before. When was Back
I'm
to
gonna
the Future
say-
released?
I feel like 1920 something is.
I have to use that movie to do this.
Okay,
So
well, then you're gonna have to figure out that
Marty
movie.
McFly lives in 1985. He goes back to when his parents were like in the 60s, I assume, or the 50s?
50s.
55.
55. And the DeLorean exists because Doc Brown makes it.
Okay. Hold on. Before you don't
don't
try to
give
do
him
math.
hints.
Don't
Don't
try to
give
do
him
math. 99 minus 79.
11.
I don't fucking know. We've been over this.
Okay, so then
11
stop.
D7.
Just throw out a number. I'm gonna say 71.
Oh, I was gonna say like the 20, but I guess it's without going
Well,
over.
20s?
Because
Yeah.
I believe DeLorean was
1920s?
alive in the 80s.
Oh, I guess I don't know how old he.
What, like the Model T made in the 20s?
No, that's like 1900.
20s.
Like my grandma has a picture in a Model T, and she was born in 25, and she's like a little like child in one. She was the
Okay.
first one in her neighborhood to get like a car or something. So I feel like it could easily be like
Model
the
T
30s
DeLorean. Next
or
model
40s.
out. The fucking DeLorean.
Wow. It says when the company was founded.
Model T was released in 1908.
19C. So that
Okay.
was like years later.
You're right.
So
All right.
12 years is enough.
I need some answers.
I'm
12
going
years.
1950.
Okay.
Damn, that doesn't feel right. Fuck. Those were like huge metal bodies back then. It's not going to be
1940.
1950.
I'm going 1940.
It can't be 1950.
Where are you?
It's got,
71.
it's got fucking vertical
All right, I'll go
lifts.
72.
You fucking asshole. 75.
I knew they were way too early.
I did too.
I knew it was
did too.
70 something. I was like, it might. Honestly, I was afraid it just might be 71.
Yeah.
I was like, you might have just already gotten it.
Okay.
First car rolled off production line in 1980
Yeah. Oh, that
okay.
feels. Yeah, it's a very 1980s
as the 1981
car.
models. Okay.
So
I
then,
didn't
did
know if they had
Doc
other
Brown
things.
not have the DeLorean when he goes in the? I need to rewatch the movies.
No, he built it in 80.
The movie
movie's
starts
in
in 85.
Right, but he goes
car
back
was
to
released
Doc
in
Brown's
80.
house, and Doc Brown had a vehicle. I thought he had a DeLorean in his garage.
No, he didn't.
Unless
You
he
know-
had Marty's DeLorean in his garage.
You know the big thing that really I love those movies, but as an adult, it was actually about 4 months ago. My friend Nate pointed something out to me that absolutely ruined the third movie.
They're not
Okay.
documentaries.
Which is the Western one.
Yeah.
What's the one?
Okay.
What
so,
bothered you about it?
So they sent him back in time, right,
Yeah.
to pick up Doc Brown.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened to the DeLorean?
it gets hit by a train.
No. It hits a rock, right?
Yeah.
And so he cuts the fuel line.
Oh, whenever he lands in the West?
Yeah, when he goes back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
why
it's like
he
a
can't-
buffalo run or
which
something.
is why he can't drive it in 1885 to get back.
Right. That's why they need the train.
So, yeah.
And they make special fuel to kick its ass.
So they cut the fuel line. What's the major plot hole in that?
I don't know. Why? Because you can't run the car. Yeah,
No.
there's no fuel.
Grab the fuel line from the other DeLorean.
There's another DeLorean?
There's 2 DeLoreans in 1885. There's the one Doc Brown took back.
Oh, that's
and
right.
And the one that Marty took back. There's 2 cars.
No, Doc Brown said he destroyed it.
No.
That's why it's not just sitting there. There's not 2.
How did Marty get it then?
He didn't. He uses his DeLorean.
No. He uses the DeLorean that Doc Brown hid in a mine cave, in a mine shaft.
What happens to his DeLorean?
No, I thought that was
still there.
I thought that was Marty's DeLorean because he's running from the Indians.
Yeah, he left it in a mine,
and he backs it up into the cave.
Yeah, that's Marty's.
That's Marty.
No. When Doc Brown gets there, he takes the DeLorean and he puts it in a mine shaft.
No.
That's how. Yes, because that's how Marty got it when he went back to 55. Because when he went back, then there was no DeLorean.
You're right.
So there's 2 DeLoreans. There's the one that Doc Brown put in the mine shaft, and then there's the one that Marty took back.
He's right, Jacob, because in the end of the second movie, in the rain, that agent-looking guy comes up to him. It's Western Union, and he gives him the envelope. He opens it up. Yeah. It says, "Hey, Marty, I'm back in 1855 or whatever." And I think he says, "If you need the DeLorean, here's where it is."
Here's where
because it had just been destroyed.
Yes, because Doc Brown knows that Marty is still in 1955, and Marty needs to get back to 1985.
Yes,
so he says, I put the DeLorean in the mine shaft. Here's where it's at. Go get it.
So it would have been there in 85.
Yes, so there's 2 DeLoreans in 1885.
But it's the same DeLorean.
I just did that thing where I kind of stepped out of my head and kind of watched what was happening here, and we're idiots.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch these
So
movies.
you could just take the fuel line from the other one and put it in that one, and then you're good.
Right, you're right.
And now it'll be ruined because of Nick.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, and also, I thought the DeLorean got an upgrade and had a Mr. Fusion on it. It didn't even run on gas. It could also get airborne. What the fuck?
No. The motor always ran on the gas-powered engine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jacob's,
Doc Brown made that very clear.
Oh, Jacob's back in.
Okay, yeah, good.
All right.
What were we doing on the show again?
Huh? What show?
Fuck the show. All right, we got more questions, I think. Oh, speaking of water, though. Whitney, do you know where your water cutoff valve is in your house?
I believe so.
You want to find that and let you know.
I know the ones for like every item, like under the sink.
Okay,
and
like
I know all that
toilet.
stuff. Yeah,
that's good. But there's a main water shutoff valve.
There's one like in front of the house, right in the ground, like the little thing you twist.
that's good.
Sometimes it's there.
Yeah,
sometimes it's in your
garage.
garage.
Pretty sure ours is.
There you go.
There.
You want to find that.
There's also, you know what? There's a little handle when we got our water softener put in. That's it.
That might be it.
Oh, there you go.
That's it.
Is it in the garage?
It is in the garage.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
too.
one.
All right,
Look
make
at
sure
me.
nothing's obscuring that.
Jim had a waterfall happening in his house one day.
Yeah.
And he had stuff stacked up in front of his water cutoff valve, didn't know where it was, and so continued to have a waterfall just going in his house.
It's like that statement they say whenever there's an emergency, the police are minutes away or whatever. I don't know. That's how it was with the waterfall problem because it was like, hey, I need to shut this off now, not in 10 minutes when I find this thing. Now.
We have been traumatized by leaks in our house and our homeowner's insurance. I told Nick about it. So we know absolutely where all the water cutoffs are.
Yeah.
Public service announcement. Yeah. Know where your water shut off.
Yeah, my house has a bunch of like cutoff valves that I can cut off wings of my house.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It's so convenient.
That's really cool.
That is nice.
Yeah, like so when I do work, I don't have to cut off the whole house. I can just turn off like that wing.
I like that. That's super useful.
It really is.
Well, speaking of water, help my water bill from instead of anonymous, this person signed as my poor water heater.
Oh no.
Here's what they said. Hi, guys and gal. Been listening since day one and absolutely love y'all. You've helped me through a lot of different challenges and I thank you. As for my problem, my fiance doesn't have a man cave. He uses the bathroom for that. He'll go into the bathroom in the morning and be in the shower for 3 hours. He'll also do the same thing at night.
You're marrying a prune.
Sorry,
That's a long time. He will also do the same thing. Yeah, pretty much. He'll do the same thing at nighttime and sometimes in the afternoon. I'm not exaggerating by saying 3 hours. Yesterday, I counted, and out of his 2 showers in the same day, he spent 6.5 hours in there.
I already have the answer.
Oh my God.
He's not just cleaning himself.
I think you already said it earlier.
I've already solved this problem.
He's not just cleaning himself. He sits in there on his phone or does other things. In quotes. In quotes. This wouldn't be an issue if we didn't have 4 kids. But the escaping puts so much more pressure on me, especially the nighttime showers, because the entire time I'm cooking, serving, getting kids done with showers while he's absent. But then he gets upset with himself when his 2 kids go to their moms, but by having guilt that he didn't spend enough time with them when they were visiting. It's also causing the water and electric bill to be around $600. I'm sorry for the long letter. Hope you guys can help. Signed, my poor water heater.
I want to know.
You ever see those videos, those amazing videos on social media of like dads returning from war and surprising their children?
Oh yeah.
Like I imagine that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
At
Dad,
this house.
is that you? I haven't seen you since my birthday.
I started shaving.
Dad, your hands, they're so wrinkly. Your skin is so moist.
You look so young.
You look so young and well rested.
Oh my gosh.
My God. Not a flake of dandruff anywhere. So impressive. Oh my goodness.
Jacob,
3 hours.
what's your advice?
I'm impressed that this water heater can
turn
do
the water
that.
off.
3 hours of hot water?
That's what I'm thinking.
I can't do
and your
that.
kids all shower?
No, my house can't do 3 hours of hot water. So
I've never
those
tried.
showers are cold,
I don't know
right?
what my house can do.
Those showers
Well,
have to be cold. You're not getting 3
no,
hours.
Hold on.
Definitely not. No, my showers. I started doing what do they call them? Navy showers. Which
Cold water?
No. It's
washcloth?
not as.
He wears a dark blue suit.
I should never have said anything. No,
You shower with other men on a boat.
If I understand this correctly, and I'm not a military guy, so I could be getting this completely wrong.
Probably.
But if you're on a boat, you need to learn how to shower on 1 gallon of water.
So you turn it on, quick rinse, turn it off.
Yeah.
Turn it off,
Lather
and then you
up.
lather up,
Yeah.
and then turn back on. To
Lather
rinse
up
off.
your guy's back next to you.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yep.
takes a
Right.
turn and then
Well,
back
it's the
on.
easiest way to
Use some of their gallon.
Yeah,
save
use some of their
water.
gallon.
Yeah, shower with a
I'm just going to
friend.
stand underneath you while the water's
Let me use your dirty water.
Yeah. I love your brown water.
It's gray water, man. Come on.
Oh, no.
This is the Navy.
No,
it's not
that's
the
brown.
Army.
No, but like
Oh my
that whole time is not all in the shower. Some of that's Instagram, probably.
What, the writer's husband?
Yeah.
Well, they said that
If you got that shower
they
on
said the
for 3
fiance is like
hours,
hanging out
That's
on the
YouTube.
phone
They're
and
hanging
shit.
out.
Instagram.
Yeah.
you're getting hot water for maybe an hour.
No,
Yeah.
you just turn your hot. That's where she said the electric bill and the water, because you just turn the hot water heater up. And
Yeah.
Can your hot water heater continue to produce hot water while you're using it?
What do you
depends.
think it
does-
does?
yeah.
That's
No,
what
dude,
it
I
does.
run out of hot water.
Well, eventually it will run out because it can't heat it fast enough.
That's what I'm saying.
as
3
fast as
hours,
you're
I don't
using
think.
it.
But
I
you
don't
can
think
you
can
can
do it.
crank up the power on that hot water heater. Like I can just about promise you your hot water heater is not turned up all the way.
Yeah, it's probably
yeah.
Because
not.
it'll fucking scald you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you can crank that up you can crank it up, and then like as the water is hitting it, as the cold water out of the line is hitting the hot water heater, it's warming up and going right out.
Interesting.
So like you can crank that hot water heater up, and you can
The
get a
initial
lot more
water
hot
will be
water
really
heat.
Have you
hot,
seen the
but then it's
electric
warm.
water heaters?
Yeah, that's what
Like
I
the
was going
Insta-Hot?
to
The
say.
tankless
Yeah.
water
Tankless,
heaters.
Yeah, the Insta-Hot
maybe that's
water
what
heater.
they have.
Yeah.
But damn, dude.
Also, when we lived in a condo, that hot water goes for days.
Oh, really?
Because
That's
it's like a
true.
building.
Oh, because
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Which they have 4 kids, so they're not a condo, I'm sure. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I mean there are ways around the hot water heater issue.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, that solves that problem.
Jacob stepping up to the plate.
All right. I'm assuming house.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you have a little bit of a yard somewhere or like a little bit of space.
Okay.
You're spending $600 a month on this right now
Yes.
on Amazon for $4,600.
Oh, here it is.
There is an outdoor 4-person sauna that you can buy and assemble.
Wow.
And then you just have a sauna for him to
Bluetooth
go
He's got it up on the
speakers.
screen.
It's got speakers.
What?
It's got everything you
Oh my
need
gosh.
in there.
Jacob's going to have this in his backyard when we
Oh,
go
no,
to the
I'm not a
next 4th
sauna
of
guy.
July. Oh,
but
okay.
but a lot of the Europeans I work with have
Yeah.
things like this at their houses, and like they just hang out in them.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say hot tub.
That's what I thought you were going to say
Hot
too.
tub's a solid
which is
answer,
even
too.
cheaper. You can get like a really affordable
Yeah,
one on
like
Amazon.
a soft tub.
Like a little, those ones that kind of.
I did one of those, like the inflatable hot tub.
I don't
It's
recommend
it's a thing.
I think
didn't love
Costco
it.
has them for like $600.
I
bet
bought
if you
mine
just-
at
I'll bet if you
$300
just-
at Walmart.
Yeah.
I'll bet
there
if
we
you
go.
just stack up some of the quick dam
That's probably
There you go.
just
You can
lay in the
probably just
grass.
do that.
But I think sauna, because you can go in there, you can close the door so you're away from everyone.
Yeah.
That can be like Dad's private spot.
Get you a good heat.
No.
Just
Okay.
sweat.
Because I think Dad just. It sounds to me. I'm saying Dad.
Yeah.
They're kids.
They're
I don't
4
know.
kids.
I don't know if they're his kids.
Let's
I
go
don't
with
know.
Dad.
But whoever.
Hubby.
Yeah. Fiance. Yeah. Part of this is just alone time.
Yeah.
And so keeping a place where there can still be alone time, I think, is important.
Yeah. 6 hours is a little much.
Okay.
I think it's excessive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, he doesn't have. They're his children because they go to mom's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So they're his children, and it's like I totally agree with you. There needs to be some time to have your alone time, but you don't have your kids all the time. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
No.
Like,
My solution is just the practical,
You're an
let's
adult-
fix the water
Yeah.
bill solution.
Yeah.
There's a
That's
different
fair.
issue that you're now
I know.
addressing.
Yeah.
they're both
Jacob
issues.
really
yes.
wanted to get right to the water bill solution.
I was addressing the water bill portion of the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a solid answer.
You are now
That's fair.
addressing
I'm like, hell no.
Psychology
other
shit.
parts of things
I'm
that
adjusting.
also, I believe, need addressing.
Yeah. But the water bill has been resolved. I think we've got that
Buy
solution.
yourself a sauna.
I know. I want to hear y'all. I can come back at this for a while, but
What's your hot take?
There's a lot. There's like
Sauna.
I almost what's that term? Weaponized incompetence. It almost touches on this for me because it's like you go spend 3 fucking hours in the shower while you have 4 children and your wife is doing all of that in the evening time. You know what? If you want to do that, you can do it after your kids do all that and they're in bed. Go spend 3 hours from 9 p.m. to midnight or whatever.
Right.
Do it then if your wife doesn't care about that time. But oh my gosh. And then saying, oh my God, I didn't spend enough time with my children. It's like, well, where your priorities lie where your actions are.
Right.
In my opinion.
You don't just get to be AWOL.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sure this has come up. I'm sure that the writer has said to their spouse
and
at
that's
some
what
point.
I really want to know.
Yeah.
I want to
to
see
know
that conversation.
Well, I want to know what his take is on it.
Yeah.
Like if she approaches him, what is he saying?
Is he saying like, no,
Cleanliness is
there's
next to
no way.
godliness.
No, well, here's what I think he's saying. I think he's losing track of time.
I was going to say time blindness.
I think he has no
he's definitely
idea.
losing track.
Yes.
I want him to be losing track of time.
He better be.
Because if he's not losing track of time, he's a terrible person.
Yeah, because he could have watched like all of fucking Ulysses in there.
I mean
like,
the Titanic's a
this is-
3-hour movie.
Right? Yeah.
This is like when I see somebody, stumbling along in a casino or something. I go like, I hope that person's drunk.
Yeah.
Because if they're not, there's something wrong.
Something's terribly wrong.
Yeah. Like I hope this guy is just losing track of time.
Yeah.
6 hours, obviously, I think is the highest end. But writer says it's 3 hours a day minimum.
At least.
And it's going to be in the evening. But the writer says, and also husband or fiance will get in there in the morning and at night. Like we'll go in there twice and each round being 3 hours.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have to have talked about this.
Yeah.
And like, if we were doing couples therapy, that's the first question I ask is, what did your husband say, or fiance, whatever. I'm just going to keep saying husband. What did your husband say when you've brought up to them that this doesn't work? And you're probably right.
He probably said, "Speak louder. I can't hear you through the door."
Yeah. I mean, time blindness is a bullshit excuse to me because, like, my kids, I have Alexas, in every bathroom or whatever because they like to listen to music or whatever when they're showering. I just tell it to set a timer.
Yeah.
And like it goes off 15-minute shower's fine. Like it goes off and they just know, okay, shut it off, like get going. He has this goddamn phone.
That's a child.
He's staring at it the entire fucking time.
I'm not making excuses for him.
Nick is making all
Because
these.
Netflix is probably saying, "Are you still there?"
I'm just saying, like, when you get into because this happens to me all the time. Like, I get into a rabbit hole on like YouTube or Instagram Reels or something like
and
that.
all of a sudden, like 20 minutes.
Then all of a sudden it's like it's dark out.
Yeah.
Like, and
I reach up, realize I need to shave.
Like it happens where you just get and
I've grown into the couch.
Yeah.
It's not a mistake. These algorithms, they know what to do to keep you active. Like it's built that way to keep your attention.
I blame Zuckerberg.
But I am saying though is here's the other thing too. If he's taking 2 showers a day, unless he's a hog farmer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really wondering what that's about because
what are you avoiding?
He could be like a laborer or something too. He might go to work and come home super sweaty or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it's a job thing that requires 2 showers.
Is he a surgeon?
That's one thing. But
But cleaning every knuckle.
And he could afford the $600 bill.
Yeah, that's right.
If not,
well, then he can buy himself a sauna.
They buy the sauna.
Then I think the shower is doing something therapeutic for him.
That's what this is.
Yeah, in which case he needs to find some way of having that release, having that
I think a release is already happening.
I think that's happening twice a day minimum. Minimum.
Nice try, Nick. He tried.
Listen, I'm going to be honest.
You sure did, Bucko.
If I've cranked out 4 kids, I'm rubbing them out in the shower too. You know what? I'm not taking any chances.
Yeah, maybe he's avoiding having a fifth kid.
I'm not even looking at you, woman. No. Keep that chastity belt on. Not going to happen. No more kids.
Do you remember what you're saying, Nick?
Points.
No, I don't.
Gone.
Is there such a thing as too much?
It's therapy. It's therapeutic.
It's doing something for him, but he's got to find some way of doing that is not going to be disruptive to the entire.
This is a good point. Is there such a thing as too much self-care? Because I think we've all seen a lot of people leverage self-care as like something that becomes disruptive. Like obviously a 6-hour shower, he could be like, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not at the bar. I'm not drinking. Like, just leave me alone. Like, I'm just doing this in our own house. Like, it's fine. It's like, okay, that's fine. But Nick, you're right. Like, there is such a thing as it being wrong sized. It becomes evasive. It becomes avoidant. You're not participating with our family. We only have so many hours off work with our family, and you're just avoiding us.
I believe the word is neglect.
It does become neglectful.
Gonna go to that route. I'm like, you are a kind human to take care of his 4 kids in the evening, but a teeny part of me, as long as the kids didn't perceive the negative like vibe about it, be like, I'm not showering your kids tonight. I'm not cooking them dinner. Like, you get to.
I mean, I'm assuming the writer is also a parent figure to the kids as well. I'm taking that assumption and kind of working on that faith there. But yeah, I mean, like, you have responsibilities.
Yeah.
If you're not able to do those responsibilities, then it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
If you are able to do them though, and you're not, then you are neglecting your responsibilities.
Yeah.
It is the definition of the word.
Yeah.
Either way, it needs to be addressed. It's just a different addressing of it.
But you have a right to address it with them if you haven't, which again, I'm sure you have, but you have every right to address it. That is not like
it needs to be talked about.
If you listen till the end of this episode, we will use the word address at least 6 more times.
It's going to happen.
Address.
Yeah. Address. Is it blue or is it brown? I've seen family situations similar to this where I think I had a situation where it was a single income family. Mom had kind of the traditional role of like house and family and all responsibilities with the children, and the household landed on her. And dad had a really difficult job.
Yeah. And
when dad got home, dad's philosophy was, I'm off the clock now. Now I'm allowed to do anything that I need to do to get up to do this again. Right. Yeah. And so if I'm going to watch football and drink beer, that's what I'm going to do. And your responsibility is to take care of everything. My alarm's going off at
6 tomorrow morning, and I'm doing this all again.
Crack of dawn, I'm doing this again. Yeah. And so they had a division of labor understanding in their house, and I've seen couples where that's what they're going to do. But I still agree, because I mean, the writer says, "Look, this feels excessive," and the writer's saying like man cave, right? Because the writer's saying like my husband doesn't have a place to escape. This is private space, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 4 kids.
With 4 kids, that's the only place you got is the bathroom.
Assume like maybe a 1,200 square foot house, and you got like 4 kids running around and another adult, like and a dog. Like this is the only place you can hide where you're not hearing all the. See, this is where Jacob saw in the theory.
Then they never have to come in the house.
Right. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, if the alternative is a gym membership or joining a sport league or something that gives you an escape, do we like that better than you being in the home? I don't know.
Probably doesn't take 6 hours.
Probably doesn't take 6 hours.
Yeah, but then when he gets back from softball, then he's just got to shower.
The 3
again.
hours shower, yeah.
Be dirty again.
Gym membership, you at least can shower at the gym, and you're less likely to hang out in that shower for 3-4 hours.
Right. Well, and
at some point, somebody's going to say something.
He brings a stool.
He gets upset at himself.
They get really mad when you take your phone into the shower at the gym.
Yeah.
So when you look like you're filming people in the gym, they get really pissed about that.
It's frowned upon. Yeah, it's frowned upon.
When Jacob did it, they frowned.
Yeah.
They were weirdly fine with it then.
Oh.
That was a good day.
Yeah, he is upset about it. So he's aware that there's a problem, even if it's his own problem. Like, hey, I wish I could see my kids.
It's not working for him. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a hard one, you know, because, and also I never know what other things are being avoided by doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what if this is the positive coping behavior and the alternative is something not good? And I don't know. Or what if husband would be really difficult around the kids? What if husband has no patience around the kids? And like, it's better that he just files his ass away.
Maybe he's better in the shower.
Yeah, maybe it's better for everybody that he's just over here now. But, you know, I would rather deal with life on life's terms.
Like we have, honestly, so many questions that we can't answer on this. This is like,
It's a tough one.
I think we're just going to beg you to go to couples therapy on this.
Yeah, it's got to be discussed.
Yeah, like
it's got to be discussed.
It's got to be. You got to hear both sides of it. We got to hear like all of. There's so many questions that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or for husband to maybe have a visit or two with therapy.
Well, yeah, because I'm also thinking too. Like, I mean, maybe there's something really serious going on with him mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
That like this is his. It's not ideal, but this is what he's figured out his way of coping with it.
I'm with you.
And then if you take away his one coping skill, then what do you got left?
Yeah, this could be the finger in the dike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
shut up.
No
Jacob.
joke.
Yeah.
I say self-release, and you get on me, and then he says that and nothing.
What?
It's
Finger
slid
in the
under the
dike?
radar.
Yeah, finger in the dike. It holds back water.
Yeah,
Nick.
there was a whole story about it.
Yeah.
I believe it happens in the Netherlands.
Having a rough day
And
today.
it's water. You know, there's showering. There's water involved. You know, it's apropos.
Thank you.
Fine.
It was a good metaphor, I thought.
Yeah,
but
I
no,
thought it
I'm
was
with
great.
you. I'm completely with you because I, as a therapist, the thing I'd be most interested in, I'm not even interested in talking to the couple really because I don't hear. I hear the
That's
writer
fair.
being frustrated, but I really want to talk to the husband, and I want to develop a relationship where we can explore what's going on.
I mean, I'm thinking.
How are you doing?
The reason I was thinking couple is something that I haven't said yet. Is this seems like it's doing damage to the relationship as well?
It's straining the couple for sure.
Yeah.
But it's clearly a coping mechanism. It's clearly some kind of escape from reality. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, if you're so irritable that you need to do this to spare the children, if you're so stressed that this is the only way that you can get through it, if this is stopping you from doing self-destructive things or whatever it is, we need to talk about that. Because if you're avoiding your family this hard for this long every single day, and this is how you're recovering, that isn't inherently wrong, but we have to acknowledge it's disruptive.
Yeah.
And you're missing out on your life because you're going to sleep for 8 hours. You're going to shower for 6 hours. You're going to work for 8 hours. There's minutes left to have a life.
Yeah, you got to commute in there, whatever.
You got to eat somewhere in there.
Yep.
That's it, you know? And so I want to talk about the amount of time real estate this takes.
And I mean, I love a good stress relief as much as anybody.
Yeah, you do.
Honestly, what I usually do is with consent, I just put a finger in a dike.
Yes.
And then,
do that
he
here
came back
in
to it.
studio.
Yeah. He came back to it. Always with consent.
Yeah.
That's really the answer to the show.
Yeah.
That's the where we wanted to go on that.
Honestly, the consent part of the joke was why I didn't make the joke the first time. Because I was like, like every part of every joke that it hit me immediately was just like a
need to
sexual
get a
assault.
caveat.
Like, there was definitely just like a tinge of sexual assault to it. I was like, well, that's not a good joke.
Nope. Damn.
I like this filter that you've developed. This is good.
Getting pretty good at it.
I don't know why you think this is new.
He's got the angel and demon, and I just see them going over flip books. Like, what about the? No, I don't like that one. No.
In the thousands of hours of me talking that's on the internet, there's not a whole lot of just like, man, Jacob just made a sexual assault joke.
I love it.
That's true.
It's part of his brain that's shaking off like pitcher signs.
Oh yeah,
no, not the fastball. Don't do that.
No, got it.
we'll take high and left. There we go.
I'll just say with consent.
There's a way to make it work. Ryder, good luck with this.
Yeah.
I hope that your spouse will be, at least willing to maybe talk to somebody about this.
Yeah.
Even one session with a counselor just to kind of open the door and just maybe ballpark some other coping skills. I have lists of, other ways to cope that we kind of keep on file for when people bring it up and they're like, hey, I need something better. Like, okay, great. Here's a bunch of suggestions. If there's one thing therapists have resources on, it's like potential coping skills.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I would hope that they talk about this, but good on you for being patient. Good on you for being kind. But you're allowed to have boundaries too, Ryder. And even if you guys have a division of labor and an understanding or something like that we didn't understand the letter, you have the right to bring up if this is something that you feel like you're just avoiding me.
Yeah.
And I'm the only parent. Like, it's okay to bring that up. That's not selfish. So, but definitely find out where your water shutoff valve is.
I don't know why I just
pull
thought
that
of this.
sumbitch. That'll
Do you
fix
remember? Do you guys remember Sky Mall magazine?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've totally
Oh my
bought shit
God.
off of that.
There was one.
You did not.
I do. The map in my house is from Sky Mall. And it's engraved.
I think you're the only person I've ever met that has something from Sky Mall magazine.
I don't know if it's Sky Mall. It was the one that had like the very German sounding long name. It was in the back of the Southwest.
Das Sky Mall magazine.
No, but it was like Sky Mall. And I get so many compliments on that map, and I just laugh and laugh. I'm like, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
There was one. It was a shower. It was a shower head that had a pump that it took water after you rinsed it off.
Oh, no.
It would suck it back up.
What?
And spit it back out again.
Weird. That's the second thing I got off Sky Mall.
I think you're describing a douche.
No,
but go on.
It would, and so it was.
That's just a shop vac.
Yeah, it basically was. It was a shop vac.
Your water.
It recycled the water in the shower.
That's dumb.
Yeah, and like
everything. I hate everything about that.
Yeah, it's like that is a terrible
idea. At the very least,
idea.
it's not showering. It's not cleaning.
No, it's
that's
you're getting dirtier.
I wouldn't do that to my fucking car.
Yeah,
that's disgusting. Good question, writer. Good luck with that.
And for the record, if you leave a finger in a dike too long, it will also get pruning.
There it is. All right. We are going to take a quick break for the love of God. And when we come back, we're going to talk about cancellation frustration. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ben Dunn, Malia, Richard Macy, Sonny Boy, University Jeff, Samantha Cohn, Thunder Cougar Falcon Scoop, Slurpee Kaye, and Sandra McWaffle. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. Our second question, thank you, Cody, is who founded Porsche?
Oh, God.
John DeLore.
Whitney. Nice.
What was I missed it?
She said your mom did.
That's why Nick's so rich.
Yeah.
I wish. Ferdinand Porsche.
Ferdinand. That's a name.
Right.
I'm like, that's a name.
Henrik Porsche.
Heinrich
Porsche. Felix Porsche.
Ooh, that feels right.
Mateo Porsche.
Oh, shit.
Or Polly Porsche.
Fuck you. See, I told you the Polly shit was there to bait me.
No, I put that in.
Nick added that in.
Oh.
He very clearly added that in on his own.
I want Mateo.
Same again. Heinrich, Mateo, Felix, and Ferdinand.
Yeah, I want Mateo.
Porsche.
Mateo Porsche. That feels right. Mateo.
I'm going Felix.
Mateo. You got to soft T that. Mateo Porsche.
I'm going to go Ferdinand.
I'm going Felix.
Mateo.
I think Ferrari's first name also started with an F.
Oh, no.
And I don't remember if
was
it
was it
Ferdinand
Felix?
or not.
I'm like, was it Felix?
No, I'm pretty sure it was not Felix.
Okay. Like, was it Felix?
Wait, say the names again.
Ferdinand. Heinrich. Felix. Mateo.
Does anyone have Heinrich yet?
No.
I'll go Heinrich. Why not?
It feels German.
It sure does.
Ferrari's Italian.
What's your answer, Jim?
And we're talking about Porsche.
Oh, shit. What are we talking about?
It is me, Ferdinand.
God damn it.
Hey.
Good job, Nick.
What year?
Enzo Ferrari. That's
Enzo.
Ferrari's name. Yeah,
right,
not
right.
F. Enzo. Yeah.
Enzo?
I think it's Enzo.
Oh.
I think you're both.
What year was Porsche founded?
I have no idea.
19.
Closest without going over?
It's old. It's very old. I remember watching Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee where they were talking about it. And, like, he took Jay Leno out and he got him, like, one of the original Porsches.
Like 40
and,
or 50 then?
They explained it. Yeah, it's World War II-ish.
It is Enzo Ferrari.
I'm going 1947.
Without going over rules?
Yep. Closest without going over.
I guess... I wanted to guess lower than that, but now I can't. Because because then you can't go over. Isn't that like the bad way to play that game?
Yeah,
you can go.
It's a dick move, but you know it's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to do it.
I'll guess 40.
Okay. What do you got?
No, go ahead.
I'll take year one, Bob.
Year one.
We're going year one.
He's going all the under.
I'm taking the under.
I'll go year two.
And the answer
is learn how to play the game.
1931.
God damn it.
I was gonna say 31. I seriously was gonna say 31.
Nobody's buying that,
but I couldn't.
Nobody believes you.
I couldn't pass up 2. Damn. If you give me 2, I'll take 2.
Yep.
Wow.
All right.
Geez, that's early. Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks a lot, Jalen.
Okay.
Well, because a bunch of those companies, I don't think Porsche's one of them, but a bunch of those companies are like, before they were manufacturing cars, they were making like plows.
That's where I was going with DeLorean.
Yeah.
It bit me.
I mean, they, like Nokia, I think, started making fishing nets before they made phones. It's like, it's
Amazon
that
used to sell books. So.
That's right.
On an Amazon kick today.
Yeah, you are.
What else do you want to know about Amazon? I'm just kidding.
I love, we haven't mentioned your sweater, by the way, but you are wearing the original Napster sweater.
I know.
Which
I need to post a selfie on Discord.
Badass.
No, I think it's a copy.
I love that there's a registered trademark signal on
Napster.
That's
funny.
That's really funny. Don't be ripping that off.
Ew.
They're litigious.
They're very litigious. All right, this is a good question about private practice, so this might be something for us. Cancellation Frustration by M. Hi, Pod Therapy group. It's a bit of a different question, but I'm at a loss. I'm a clinician in a private/group practice. I love my bosses, coworkers, and the entire setting. We get a percentage that goes up when we get our independent license and once we take on our own supervisees. We have the flexibility to schedule clients whenever we want, either in person or telehealth, choose how many clients we see, and we can take time off within reason, whenever and for however long we want. My question is about money and consistency. I'm thankful that my husband has a great job with great benefits, so the flexibility and better pay than an agency, as well as significantly less stress and a better fit for me, are worth it. I also work a part-time job unrelated to counseling with a low but steady paycheck and do side jobs related to a hobby. However, I feel like I am constantly stressed about money. On paper, I'm fine. I'm well ahead of most people my age. I'm in my mid-20s, with a savings, a house, a graduate degree, etc. We're careful.
You have a house?
I was thinking, I was like, wow.
We are careful and reasonable about spending and living within our means. But I will not be able to pay my bills at any minute. This is mostly due to my clients' cancellations and inconsistent schedules. I'm strict with the 24-hour late cancellation rule, but people cancel 26 hours before or the week before. I cannot fill the slots regardless, as my people have their usual times and usually stick to them. I've tried doing it week to week and not doing set times, and it very much did not work. There is so much fluctuation. Yeah. For example, I'm down to 13 clients when I'm supposed to have almost 25. It's not a client satisfaction thing. I've looked into that. Nor is it a ghosting issue, as I've worked hard to work on goals, treatment plans, and termination conversations starting day one with them. I'm at anywhere from 10 to 27 clients a week because of cancellations. With the fluctuation, I'm paranoid about money. Logically, I know all of what I mentioned before. Yet, I am constantly stressed and panicked about bills. On my list financially are my 2 horses, who are basically my children, and I'm in constant fear I won't be able to take care of them. I know these are first world problems, horses, LOL, and I assume other clinicians in private practice have similar struggles with inconsistency, but are dealing with being single parents, rent, etc. Sorry for the long message, but here are my 2 questions. How do other clinicians deal with the cancellations and fluctuations in clients per week? Planning-wise and also financially. Also, how can we deal with the slightly illogical financial fears and the other fear that one day insurance will come back and want all their money back, which I for sure don't have. Help! Sincerely, M. Pronouns are she and her.
Oh, man.
Is a good one.
That was so good. I was like, I feel this one in my soul.
You feel it.
I know. Just because I think, especially when I first started out, just trying to understand, how many clients should I be taking on to where I don't feel burned out like you've taken on, 30 plus clients a week, because you're trying to account for some of that fluctuation. But like, what if there's the week where all but like one person shows up, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm stressed. Yes. But also, if half of them, I guess, if you had up to 30 clients didn't show up that week, that's a big fluctuation in pay. Something that helped me with that, I mean, I don't know if it'll be helpful for you, but when someone goes to cancel, I will always ask if they want to reschedule. So I don't know how flexible, it sounds like you have a flexible schedule, and I'm not saying to go back to like, oh, you can pick whatever day and time you want and every week is different. But if someone's like, oh, I forgot I had whatever this week, an appointment, or my kid's sick or whatever, I can't show up, I'll say, hey, is there another day or time that might work for you?
Right.
My system I love, and that is that my clients can go into a portal and they can select
from your available windows.
So if they can't make it one week, they can like go and see if there's a different option there. And so I really like that. It's helpful. But yeah, I know that doesn't solve all the problems, and the ones that are like 26 hours before, those are harder to reschedule. It's not like they're saying a couple days before or something. But yeah, that helps me have a higher rate of people still showing up for sessions. But some weeks are just harder than others. There's probably out of a year a good 2 to 3 weeks where I'm just like, oh my gosh, did like half my clients just like not
Where's
show
everybody?
I know.
Like, did everybody agree that they hate me or something? Am I in the news?
Yes.
Like, what's going on?
Yes. So that is very normal. It happens. But yeah, you've been in private practice longer than I have, so you probably have some different insights.
The fluctuations are real.
Yeah.
So let's agree to that first.
Yeah.
That no matter how good you are, no matter what your system is, some weeks, I mean, so my system is very different than most people's. And I designed my system in part because I hate no-shows. And so I designed a very risky system that I do not recommend for anybody.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
So, okay. So for the general audience,
electricity.
Yeah, it involves death threats.
2 live chickens.
Bust their tires out when they show up next week.
And I did this when I was in office, I still do it in telehealth.
Yeah.
So for the general audience for a second, before we get too into baseball here, we're just Whitney and I are talking, and everybody's like, "What the fuck are they even talking about?" General stuff.
Oh, I've zoned out.
Yeah, remember he talked about how he does that.
Dissociating.
Yeah, he's dissociating. It's fine.
I'm literally looking at vacuums.
He really is. And I'm sure people want to hear about that in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when most therapists build a private practice, the typical default way to do it is you decide on what your hours are going to be. Let's say you say, I'm going to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I'm going to banker's hours, okay? When you accept new patients, typically somebody calls, they say, I'd like to work with you. You say, great. What day and time did you have in mind? And they'll say, I like Wednesday at 3 or something like that. Oh. And just like the writer said, that becomes your Wednesday at 3. Yeah. And usually you keep them in their slot. Yeah. And they usually come weekly or every other week. That's the typical. And then sometimes they'll fluctuate. Sometimes at the end of the session, they'll say, by the way, next Wednesday at 3 doesn't work. I was wondering, can you do this? And then the therapist opens up their calendar on their phone or on their desk, and they compare notes with that client at the end of the session, like hurrying up before the next person comes in, trying to sort it out where they're going to go. So that's the typical. And this is why whenever you go on Psychology Today or you shop for therapists, one of the famous sentences you see over and over again is accepting new patients or not accepting new patients. Yeah. Because once all those slots are gone, the slots are gone. Yeah. You can go on a waiting list. And then what happens is eventually one of the clients terminates. But then you call the waiting list and you say, I have Thursdays at 2 open. Does that work for you? No, it wouldn't work. Okay, thanks. Stay on the waiting list. Go to option number 2. Next person. Thursdays at 2. Take it or leave it. Yeah. And so this is one of the reasons why we get the backlog of all the patients. And it also carries this danger. Because as a therapist, the no-show rate, historically, I've seen the number before, and it's quite high. Yeah. I've seen it as like, on average, between 15 to 30% of a caseload can no-show. Or short cancel. Yeah. And that's devastating if that's how you pay your bill. I mean, imagine that, any of you, your paycheck just came in 30% under. Like, pay your bills now. Go your child's daycare doesn't give you an IOU. Like, you've got to pay the bills. So for me, I built my practice very differently, trying strategically to avoid that. I did not like no-shows. Yeah. I also have always gritted my teeth to have a patient have to come and they're not in the mood to talk to me. I've always hated that feeling.
Yeah.
Just because they want therapy generally and they think it's good for them generally, but now they're committing to something and they feel like they have to come see me every week or they're going to get bumped to the back of the list.
Yeah.
And that never felt good to me because it incentivizes them to try to dodge.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm just not into it today. I don't want to do this. And so the rescheduling, they're dodging. And I hated having to keep track of them.
You can dodge a ball.
That's true. So I created a different system where I did an entirely on-demand calendar with no preset reservations.
Okay.
So when mine calendar looks like yours, except mine is not a patient portal.
Okay.
Mine is completely open. So brand new patient goes to my website.
Yeah.
They see the full live calendar.
Ours,
they can grab any spot they want.
Yeah.
And that's theirs.
Yeah.
They can grab it up to a month in advance. So if they want to, they can grab every Wednesday at 5 if all the Wednesdays at 5 are available.
Yeah.
But what happens is their first session, we do the intake, it's all good, and they say, okay, how does the scheduling work? And I tell them, it's on demand. You can schedule whenever you want. I'll give you my clinical recommendation based on what you're working on. I think you should come in weekly, or I think you should come in every other week. But I'll tell them, you can come in once a month, you can come in once a year, you can come in once a quarter, you can come in as needed, you can come in every week. I am now your therapist. We will work together whenever you want. I don't answer to insurances, so you're it. You can make your own decisions. That rolling index of clients means that the typical therapist, you'd ask them what's their caseload. That's a very common question to ask among private practice. We all get lunch and we go, so what's your caseload right now? And the usual answer is kind of what this person says,
that range is
20 in the highs, teens in the lows, right? Yeah. My caseload of active file patients is over 100. Now that doesn't mean I see 100 a week, of course not.
Right.
But over the course of the month, I'll have some that come in once a month. I have some that come in every other week. I have some that come in every week. I have some that come in 3 times a week. So they're constantly rotating.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too. Mine, probably half the people have a consistent time and half fluctuate like that.
They pop around.
Because in Las Vegas, people work wild hours.
Wild hours, yeah.
So it's very difficult to find someone who just only has this one day, this one time. And usually they work a, quote, normal job if they do. But most of my, or if they're teens, teens are consistent because that's their schedule.
After school, yeah.
But most adults, they kind of have to pop around. And so I leave a little bit more availability open, like as far as I'm comfortable with. But then once I am full with like the number of clients I want to see, which this person is saying like, well, how do I hit that? So for me, I would love to see between 20 to 25 clients. Like 23 would be great for me every week. So I'm going to shoot for 25 to 27 people on average. And every week, I mean, people travel during the summer. They're gone for this week, their kid, their kid gets sick or whatever. I have one client that comes in person. They felt sick the other week. I said, well, we can do virtual if you're just not feeling great, or we can meet virtually another day. And they're just like, no, thanks. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try and like measure for that.
Right.
It's tricky though, because they're saying like that it can be anywhere down to 13 up to like
that's
27. I'm like, that's a big range.
The two things that are weird about my system too, when I went to telehealth, no-shows and cancellations plummeted. And I've seen that data bear out. And it's because telehealth, people do not have as much negative energy because they don't have to do their hair. They don't have to drive across town. They don't have to, what's the temperature outside? How's the traffic? They don't have to do that whole movement thing.
So they show up more or less?
They show up more.
Yes.
So the cancellations almost non-existent since going to telehealth. Now, people still cancel, but in my system, I can absorb that because like here's how random.
There's an open slot that
my
can be
system's
filled.
Crazy. Like Whitney, I'll go to bed
interesting.
on a Monday night. Like tonight, I'll go to bed and I'll look at my calendar for Tuesday and I'll see 2 sessions.
Okay.
I'll wake up tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I'll have 5.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And so I have no idea. Oh, yeah. I'm same day you can make appointments.
Okay.
But the trade-off is I'm always ready to go.
Okay.
So my work days are work
fluctuate
days.
Within a 24
I do not make other plans. Like that time I texted all of you and was like, hey, you want to get it like a hot dog?
Nobody had
that is so rare.
Yeah.
And like Nick and I have tried to do projects before where he'll be like, hey, man, I'm available at this time. Are you? And I'll say, we'll see. And I go, what do you mean we'll see? Just like block it out. And I'm like, I could, but that's not how I run my practice. Like I am always available. And whenever I was in person, I was always at the office.
He said it's because he doesn't like you.
There's that too. Yeah. So, but
he is always
my
available.
practice
By the
model
way, his
is a bad
address.
Yeah. So my practice model, this constant rotational thing, means that even if somebody cancels, there's always more people coming because I have an active caseload that's so big, and they're constantly just whenever they feel like it. There's now this constant flow. That took years to develop, and it does not work for everybody, and it's hard to do it as a part-timer because this writer's, as a therapist, is saying, hey, I'm a part-timer. My model only works if you're full-time. There was, up until this year, I was working 6 days a week, usually 6.5. Just constantly available. Even until like 8 p.m. I'd take sessions. So like I was always on the ready. So my on-call model worked. But I don't know. I mean, I would advise if you're already not doing telehealth. I mean, you said you do half and half.
Yeah, good call.
Telehealth drops your no-shows. Giving them that option of like, hey, before you cancel, would you prefer to just go telehealth? Making sure you have a really strong telehealth presence. I've seen some therapists that are really winging it, and I dislike that. Like shaky phone kind of telehealth shit. And it's like, no, get a workstation, do it professional, be set up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, test all of your equipment, see what, make a friend do it with you for a while to see if they can hear you well and have a quiet place. Like get it right.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is something that really hits a lot of people.
Man, there was something else I was going to say. I totally blanked. Never mind. Go on. It'll come back to me.
The other thing is, the writer talks about at the very end of the letter, and this is something a lot of our colleagues have talked about. I don't think you've ever had this happen to you, but an insurance clawback.
Oh, yeah, I haven't. That was like, whoa. I mean, I've heard of it, but I'm just like.
That will ruin a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, just instant out of business. All it takes. One phone call from Blue Cross Blue Shield saying, we want all of our money back.
It happens quite often with agencies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't see it quite as often with individual providers, but agencies as a whole.
You're referring to so Blue Cross Blue Shield. You're saying they can call and say every dime we have ever given you for all of the patients that were covered by Blue Cross Blue Shield, we want all of that back.
We've already given you checks. You've cashed those checks.
Give them
those were months ago. We want every check back from the last 18 months.
There's not even like a length of time or anything?
Well, it can't be indefinite, but you'd be surprised how far back they can go.
Yeah. I mean, 18 months is shocking to me.
For example,
all your mortgage payments.
I would have guessed 90 days tops.
No, there's no limit. They can do whatever they want.
I've heard of agencies, and this is usually, sometimes it happens because of audits. So an insurance company will do an audit, or Medicaid. I've seen Medicaid do this quite often where they will do an audit and they'll discover like, oh, you have not been doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, you didn't sign these papers.
You didn't.
It'll be something like that.
So out of these 15 clients from these dates to these dates, you got to pay us this money back. Could be $100,000.
Sure.
I mean, it could be a shit ton of money.
And nobody ever has it because insurance or therapists are not surgeons. We do not get $30,000 for a case. Like we work hourly, and we're just doing our.
You're also not
rate.
taking every time somebody pays you for a session. You're not taking that money and putting it in an escrow account,
right?
No,
it goes to pay the bills. Right, you buy groceries. So then that instant shuts down a company or an agency or individuals, and it's a huge risk. But this is another thing I think about private practice is annual budgeting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I keep meticulous numbers. Like I have every week.
Which surprises me.
I think you'd be really impressed. I need to show you my my Excel spreadsheet. I'm not good at Excel, but I downloaded a template.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, he's really good at Excel, which is so stupid because he can't even turn a fucking computer, but he's a god at Excel. Like he'll just put in all this codes and shit. Like it annoys me because even shit that doesn't need to be in Excel, he'll put it in fucking Excel. I've asked him to make a fucking agenda on some dumb shit. Like, hey man, make us an outline, and he puts it in a table on Excel. Like, why the fuck are you doing this?
Because anytime you're going to do a box, you should use Excel.
I disagree.
When the only tool you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
That's right. But yeah, no, I'm meticulous with my annual records. I know every week the exact number of patients I have. That way I can predict and be like, okay, this is my slow season. This is when I'm higher. And I use that to do my annual budgeting and figure out Christmas and everything else I need to do. It's all based on those numbers. Yeah. That helps a lot to sort of see what's happening.
So that's where I was going to go next when they talked about how do I ease the anxiety is my Excel spreadsheet is just for our household. So yeah, it's based on estimated income. So Peter has always been self-employed. So we've always had to oversave and underspend, especially early on when we were first starting out, because I was still in grad school for some of those years while he was working. And then eventually was working at that agency where I met Nick at, and they notoriously do not pay great and was not salaried. So you also would if you had no shows, you didn't do a note and you didn't get paid. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was Medicaid, where people would flake all the time. Yeah. And so that was like a rough time for a while, but I was already practicing that because that's what Peter was practicing. So there's a couple of things there. One is that once you have data, like I know I'm making about this much, or at the minimum for you, I'd say the minimum. If your minimum is going to be like 13 clients a week, start there. If I only saw 13 or let's say 15 clients a week, what does that equal in a salary, or what's your annual, what is your partner making, and together what are we making, what are our bills, and what's that spreadsheet number from Excel equal by the end of all that data. It sounds like you might have already done that, because you said if I had to pay all my bills tomorrow, I couldn't do it. So it makes me sound like you might have like payment plans in place for things where everything's covered, but like if all your debts were called tomorrow, you wouldn't have the money. So I don't know, I feel like I'm giving financial advice now, but I would just save as much as you can and budget for like the low end of what you think you're going to make.
You're saying what you did.
Yes. Yeah.
This is what Whitney did in her life and in her scenario.
Yes, this was helpful to me if you're asking for my opinion, because then over time, over years, the savings will build and grow, and that anxiety should ease your mind a little more. And to be honest, we revisit, even though Peter and I know, like, we make good money, it's all good. We still have those anxieties. Like, that is so real, especially when you don't have a fixed income of some sort. And we will always go back to the spreadsheet. We'll sit down together for an hour where we look at everything. How much are we spending on this? Did this change? Did that change? Are we spending more here? Are we saving more there? Especially with inflation and everything going on right now. We've been doing a lot more. And that usually helps ease our mind. It's like, oh yeah, now I remember, because there's a lot going on. There's bills to pay. There's, I don't know, horse children to take care of. And so, if you're wanting to have all those things, budgeting for it and just start saving as much as you can was what helped me to feel less stressed.
Jim, I don't know if you still do this, but back in the day, I remember you sold therapy services
in a bundle.
As a bundle.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just talking about this the other day.
Because this is what I was thinking about too. Because I would think there would be benefits and drawbacks to doing that, in the sense that because it's good for everybody involved. If you buy a bundle of, you get a discount if you buy 10 sessions.
Right.
10 therapy sessions, you get a discount on those sessions. It's motivating for the patient, because I've already paid for this sort of stuff. So I need to start using these. It's also beneficial to you, because now show or no show, you've got that.
So caveats, you can't do that in insurance.
Oh,
because it's going to
fair,
be fee for service.
So
that might not help the writer. But I did that as an intern. So when I was an intern, it's amazing to me. The interns today charge $100, $120 an hour. It's unreal in Vegas.
Yeah.
But back when I was an intern, I charged $75.
Yeah.
But I offered people a deal where I said you could get a 6-pack, so 6 sessions, for $300. So that turned it into $50 a session. Okay. I'm taking a haircut.
Yeah.
You're making a commitment. Yeah. You're getting rewarded for making a commitment. That's easier on you. And at the end of 6, if you want to re-up, we re-up. If not, that's okay. But
and they're handing you a check at the beginning,
right there,
for $300.
Yep. So they do the first session. I tell them at the end of the first session, I say, hey, before I ring you up here, we can ring you up for $75 for the normal a la carte session, and we can just keep doing that, no pressure.
Yeah.
Or if you like this and you think you want to go ahead and just do 6 weeks of this, let's just do it now. And you know what? I'll save you, $25 a piece. Yeah. And most people would say that, yeah, let's just do that because I'm here. Obviously, I'm starting therapy today.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And if they liked their
and that was
session
great.
with you,
yeah. And so when I was an intern, that was really wonderful because that made
really
it work
cool.
for both of us. And like that way I was like, okay, great. I don't have to be afraid. And you can space out your sessions as much as you want. I don't care. They're yours.
Yeah.
And so some people be like, okay, I'm just going to use them once a month. I'm going to see you, for the whole year. I'm like, great. It's your call. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
Like use the calendar. So that was a cool idea. I haven't been able to do that since became full licensed, but I mean, it's a neat idea, I think, for interns especially because they can't take insurance.
You're starting out.
Well, unless they're in an agency, in which case. And this sounds like a really great agency, all things considered. But, I mean, a couple of tips that I would give you, Ryder, just to try to decrease your no-show and your cancel rate. One, during your intake session, three things. Number one, and you said this, but I'm just going to say this anyway because there's a lot of other therapists that maybe aren't as good as a therapist as you. But the relationship is everything, right? Yeah. If people are coming to therapy because something's going on in their life, that's motivating to start. But people commit to the process and believe in it, the stronger that our relationship is. And that's what makes it also not a burden. It's really, nobody's ever super excited to go to therapy today. There's other shit they'd rather be doing. But hopefully that relationship is strong to the point where they're like, I'm really looking forward to seeing Whitney.
Yeah.
Like, I always
it's
feel
nice to have
better.
Someone to talk to.
It's good. Yeah, they're definitely not feeling any kind of like, fuck, I got to talk to Whitney today. Like you want it to be like, okay, obviously we have a great relationship. Yeah. And that really starts on day one, just really making sure that you're genuine, you're sincere, you're deeply compassionate. And I think when all that combines, it's a relief to see you. And that makes it easier for people to commit and be consistent. Yeah. Number two, during those intake sessions, I would strongly advise you, if you already have telehealth apparatus, making it clear to them, hey, if you're ever just having a tough week, you're ever just falling behind, you lost track of laundry day and you just don't feel like leaving your house, please don't stress out about coming all the way out here to see me. Here's the telehealth thing. It's super easy to use. Walk them through it and make it so that their first default move is don't cancel, just jump on the call. Yeah. Let's just do this. Let's keep the consistency. That way we don't lose touch. That way you can still feel like you were productive and we're doing this, but you're not stressed. And really emphasize that as an option. Yeah. Because hopefully that becomes clear to them. Okay, this is how I do it. I think that that's probably going to be one of your best bets for decreasing the no-show rate. Yeah. But the reality is, especially depending upon populations that you work with, it's true, like the Medicaid population does have a high no-show rate. And so different things, different groups.
Yeah, different things are going on there.
Yeah, it can be really tough.
I would just, and I don't know how you would do it, but I just want to collect data. Yes. Yeah. All data is useful data. So whether that be client satisfaction surveys or just some sort of completely anonymous survey that goes out to all your clients and just saying, hey, I'm just trying to collect some feedback. Can you, and asking some questions. What are the biggest factors that influence cancellation, or what, ask some questions to try to get some data. And then that's going to hopefully give you some kind of way of navigating.
And if you don't already have an automatic reminder system, that has done wonders as well. Gosh, yeah. When my patients make an appointment, they first get a notification by text and email saying they've made their appointment request. It already has all the information there for Zoom and phone. Then I confirm it. They get another one that says, hey, Jim confirmed it. You're set. Here's your day and time. Then they get an email the day before, 24 hours before. Hey, here it comes. Here's the Zoom link. Here's the phone. We're ready to go. Then an hour before the appointment, they get a text message that says, hey, about to see you in an hour. Here's the information one more time. Yeah. Like, they have so many outs and so many reminders that it's like, it's gentle.
Jim is such a big fan of the reminders that we get notifications about recording time.
I noticed this today.
I get more confirmation texts from you than from my fucking dentist.
Oh, my dentist is
that reminds
crazy.
me. I got a text from my dentist today that I didn't reply to.
Did you reply to Jim, though?
That was just real, by the way. I actually got a text from my dentist
today. I text you once a week, usually on Monday, and say, hey, are we on for tonight? And that's it.
Which we planned.
Somebody should do that.
No, we shouldn't. No.
There's
we
four
all
of us.
agreed. We all
Shit
agreed
happens.
when we scheduled it. Yes, we're going to be there.
I'd rather confirm.
Unless it's out of the ordinary. Out of the ordinary.
We don't do that for Ice Cream Social.
You just show up.
We plan it, and it's on the calendar, and it's there.
And then everybody just shows up.
Like
we recorded tonight at 7 p.m. It was out of the ordinary, but our schedules are all fucked up right now. So we had a 7 p.m. recording tonight.
Your shit's all fucked up.
I showed up at 7 p.m. Guys were there. We did the show.
All right.
Well, amazing.
I'm glad that works for you.
It's a life without anxiety.
I like to confirm things. Anyway, Ryder, this is a great question.
And I've confirmed my dentist appointment.
We're really rooting for you. Right. Private practice can be just, and this is why a lot of people get spooked in private practice because they don't like the risk taking, but own it for yourself.
Yeah.
Also good for the people who don't know anything about private practice.
Yeah, it's great to hear about it.
Because, you think like, I get this all the time from people who don't, either go to therapy, don't know much about therapy, but then see what a therapist charges per hour.
Right.
And like, holy shit, you're rich. You must be wealthy. It's like, no. We're not doing 40 sessions a week.
No.
Yeah, no.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
At best, you can do like 23.
Yeah.
And at best, 80% of those would show up.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
between
There's
20
an
and
average
25
here.
a week. Yeah.
But, big advice to you, Ryder, whenever you're in private practice, even when you're attached to an agency or you're with a group, you have got to own it yourself. That is your caseload. You are the one getting reminders out there. You are the one establishing, the relationship rules, the expectations, giving them those telehealth outs, making it simple for them. Like, you've got to be the one on top of it because that is your practice. That is your caseload.
A funny story. The reminders are so effective that I had a client this last week on my personal little calendar that I look at. I had talked to them and told them they wanted to change times for this week. So changed the time, but I didn't do it on my work calendar, which is very unusual. Haven't had that happen before. And so the client texted me though, like within an hour of our session was like, hey, we're still on for this time, right? I'm like, yep. But they didn't receive a reminder because it wasn't on my work calendar to trigger the reminder to be sent. I'm like, it was not. I will get that added right now and send over the link
but that's
manually.
How disciplined it is.
That's how disciplined they are. They know it's coming. And when it doesn't, they're like, ooh.
Something's up.
Yeah. So it's like kind of funny that way.
Automatic system really goes a long way. But you've got it. That's private practice. It's your, no matter, even if you're with a group, that is your caseload. You've got to be on top of every single one of them. And you really have to just help them make it work. And I think you're asking the right questions about how to model your caseload. But this is my fear. And like, I know most therapists do the plug and play method where, you are my Tuesday at 2 and that's the deal. But the downside, like the good side of that is the amazing consistency because I'll wake up some days and I just do not have a session.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really useful to have a podcast because I'll be like, great, today I'm making Patreon content. Yeah. And like, that's what I'm doing today. Or like, I'm running errands, like all the things I can't normally do.
Nice. That's a nice flexibility. But
it works and it doesn't because like, it's hard to do things like a dentist appointment. Like if I schedule a dentist appointment, I'm blocking out half the day. If I wait until a random day when I just don't have any bookings, now I have to call a dentist and go, can you take a walk-in? And so
true.
It's hard for me to plan my life.
Yeah.
But that's the upside is that I don't know, like it works for me, but I don't think it works for most people. But the downside of the plug and play is you get the consistency because you generally know where people are. But then if enough of them no show, it's really hard to fill those spots. Yeah. Because what are you going to do? Go to a waiting list and it's like, I'll add you this week, but I can't keep adding you because I didn't fire the old client yet. And so, and I only have
full next week.
This 1 hour is available once a week. And it's like, that might not work for people. So it's a really tricky business. But I like your method, Whitney, of like half and half.
Yeah.
Half on call, half like pre-designated in the slots. Yeah. And then like keeping a rotational calendar. Because like if anybody called your office right now and asked, are you taking new patients? Is your answer usually yes?
Usually,
For you.
right now. Yeah, because I do keep extras. It just depends.
Have you gotten to the place where you've said, no, I'm not taking new patients?
Not yet, no.
I've never had that happen.
Yeah.
It will never happen.
Yeah.
Because my system is designed come as you want. So
there is somewhere I can squeeze them in usually.
Right.
It's like
even during the pandemic, at peak pandemic in 2020, I joined a telehealth platform while I was also doing private practice because I was just sitting around doing nothing for 24 hours a day. My highest weeks, I was averaging in the 60s.
Oh, shit.
60 sessions a week. I was working 7 days a week.
Wow.
Just nonstop. But like, even then I was still taking new patients because doors always open.
Yeah.
And obviously that was a very scary time for the world. Yeah. So like, everybody
There's
needed
a lot
therapy.
needed. Yeah.
At the time it was like, okay, I could sit around being anxious, or I can help other people not be anxious. So I'll do that.
Yeah, totally.
Well, he was still doing the first part.
Yeah.
He was still sitting around being anxious.
I was just crying with them.
Avoiding his anxiety.
One of my favorite memes is the one where the patient's talking to the therapist about how anxious he is, and in the next frame, they're both sitting on the couch, like just laying next to each other, and they're both just staring up like, yeah, you're right. Like everything is fucked. You're very persuasive. Anyway, Ryder, good luck with this. If any other therapists are out there, we know there's a lot of you in our Discord and in the Patreon community. Would love to see commentary on this episode with how you've solved this problem if you're in private practice, or what you've seen other colleagues do. That kind of commentary is great. And, Ryder, since you've been with us from day one, I assume that you are... oh, no, you're not the one that was with us from day one. But since you listen, I assume you're already at patreon.com/therapy. Throw a buck in the hat, get into the Discord, get that feedback from other people. That would be a good use of your time. As we wrap up the show, I want to remind you, patreon.com/therapy. You can get that extended show ad-free a day early. You can enjoy our live chat Discord community and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. This week, I wrapped up my 5-episode series on the book Conscious Uncoupling, Living Happily Ever After, or Even After. And that was a really fun series to do. Really got to explore how it can be okay to end relationships, even long-term marital monogamous relationships, that it's okay for those to have an expiration date. And if they do, there's a method to self-care and ending things ethically. And that was a really neat book to explore. So check out that series that's up there. And as I mentioned earlier, if you go to the Patreon, there is a pinned post that is a directory of every piece of content we've ever posted on there. Every Monday, we release new content to start off your week on a psychology foot. But we've got some new people to welcome to the fold. Who's new, Nick?
We got a new therapal, Sarah Fowler-Wolf.
I believe it's pronounced Wolfie.
I agree to disagree.
New
you
theropods.
Always correct me on every pronunciation, and I want people to write in.
Yeah.
Because I am pretty convinced you're wrong on all of them.
That's not true. New theropods, welcome Robert Cole and...
It's Cole.
And Logan.
It's Legan.
Legan. You know what? You're right. I'm sorry. You are right.
You idiot.
Yes.
And we got 2 new therapartners. Welcome back, Myra and
welcome.
Pickett.
Welcome, Pickett. Pickett's also active on the Discord and even made us a video to show people how to get the RSS feed into their podcast app.
Amazing.
Yep. Made us a second video. So those are both posted onto our pinned post on the Patreon.
I need to check. Like I'm going to listen to this
shit. It takes 15 seconds. It's not hard. But here at the end of the show, I want to thank all those who make this show possible, our therapartners, Dirty B, Myra, and Pickett, and our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Theraproducers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie, Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Don, Judy Schneider, Kayla, Lansbury, Mrs. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley Slap in Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpee Kaye, motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, and Hannah Marie.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
and why wouldn't you?
And enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy, and thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. I want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to all of you who contributed to the show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, Pod Therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share the episode with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Instagram and Twitter. And then it's /PodTherapy on Facebook. Don't forget about all the extra goodies at patreon.com/therapy.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
Jacob, did you know in the last episode you were talking about how you want somebody to get like audiolifecoaching.com? Somebody did.
Oh.
No. I don't want them to. I know somebody has the